Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Your daughter.
No, my daughter. So my daughter's on. She's on a plane. The flight, and it's like her first time away from us. Like she's going to the Bahamas, this foreign country, and she the plane was supposed to leave from Newark. It leaves from JFK. It's delayed for 2 hours. She's sitting in the plane for 2 hours. We're having a heart attack. So you don't worry. You can't stress me because I'm already sweating. I'm already sweating from this thing. Do you have
Sounds
kids?
like a lot. I have a toddler, a little girl, two and a
Oh,
half year old.
beautiful. How
Yeah,
old?
2.5.
Do you want to know what happens?
I mean, what's funny about it is like when we found out her due date, I don't know why it feels like a guilty pleasure, but I kind of lean into the whole zodiac thing, and so I was really conscious that she was going to be a Leo, and I was looking up a bunch of stuff about her being a Leo, and I think most of what I'm afraid of is like I'm an Aquarius, so very creative, but I don't know, kind of a they have a word for that now where it's like an extroverted introvert. I think is the phrase they use, where like I do. I'm very gregarious and stuff like that, but I also really like to just kind of be by myself sometimes and recharge. And I'm just really nervous about the way her energy might overwhelm, I guess, how I am at times. And I guess I am hopefully appropriately nervous to be a dad, and I just don't want to mess her up because of how I am, if that makes sense.
When's your birthday?
August, I just said 19th.
Oh, August 19th. It's
Yeah.
it's funny because me and my wife, she's a Leo too, but she's an introverted extrovert. She's a teacher, and when she teaches, she's very extroverted.
Yeah.
And then you get her home, and like
Shut
she
down.
just leave me alone. And it took a while, but we worked it out. And my daughter's kind of follows after my mother, but what I found with parenting, with fathering, is it becomes so selfless
Hmm.
that you kind of don't even you stop worrying if she's going to hurt your feelings, and you start it's just all her, it's her
Yeah.
channel for the next 18 years, so you just
Yeah.
kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so when my daughter was born, I had a buddy, he was an electrician, and he had like five sons, like very successful family in terms of like everybody talks, everybody gets along, everybody's great. And I'm like, like she's my daughter. I'm like, my daughter's a girl. I don't know what to get her. What do you give her? What do you do? I don't know how. I'm at the time I was married like 10 years, and still don't know how girls work.
Hmm.
And he said the only thing she wants is you. And I
Hmm.
stuck by that, and it turns out he was right. So
Yeah.
yeah, that matters. You're a zodiac guy.
I mean, even in my hesitance, I wouldn't say I'm like religious about it. I think I just have seen enough in my various relationships that support it that I'm like, yeah, it might not be like hitting the nail on the head, but there's useful information there. Yeah.
It's an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. That now do you still belong to the church?
Great question. My name is still on the records, and like I still, wear the garment from the temple and everything, but I haven't been in, I don't know, probably 4 plus years, and I don't. It's one of those weird things, and I guess we can get into this, but like, I, I, sometimes they'll come over because I'm still, on the records, and they know where I am, so they send me text messages and ask me how I'm doing, all that stuff, and sometimes they come over and visit with me, and even in those visits, I get this sense, and I've told them where it's like, I think not even just Mormonism specifically, but like any religion, I think with seekers, it's kind of a wave. Like there are times that you're really into it and it's really going to help you out and you're really going deep, and there's times that you need other things, and so you're just swimming away and you're out there finding stuff. And so I think I'm just in a phase where it doesn't have anything to offer me now, and I'm, because you're in that phase, I don't know if I could see a day where it would have anything to offer me again, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't.
Yeah. Actually went to church to be a pastor.
Mm.
Went to school. My
Oh,
career
nice.
concentration was pre-seminary.
Hmm.
Um, and the problem with religion is that I found was it doesn't allow for your experience. It
Yeah.
doesn't allow for not right for me right now.
Hmm.
And there's and you're married to the church and it's for
Yeah.
better or worse, but you're not married to the church,
Hmm.
and so it's for better, and then when it's better again, and it's
There's
like
this comedian that I really love. His name's Pete Holmes, and he wrote
yeah,
a book called Comedy Sex God. And in it, he talks about his experience of growing up hardcore evangelical Christian and then getting married and then finding that his wife had been unfaithful to him. And that not only splitting up their marriage, but like casting him into atheism and putting him into this really hard faith crisis, which he then kind of came back out of. And now he considers himself more of a mystic. But in the chapters where he's talking about the ways that he began to determine that the church wasn't doing him any good and that he needed to like seek elsewhere. He talks about what he calls certainty worship, where he's
yeah,
like, the hard part about church is some people are there because they feel Jesus in their heart, and there's a very genuine, not only just relationship, but desire to give their lives to those principles. And other people are just there because they need a club to hang out with.
right,
They need acceptance and they need a community. And they're
right,
willing to get up there and say anything to make that community stay. And I think the hard part is over time, because that turned out to be the thing. I think more and more people are showing up to the club rather than people showing up because any of this might actually mean something. And so what you end up getting is a congregation of certainty worshipers rather than people that are like going hard on the Bible and really trying to like critically and even academically understand it better and deeper
yeah,
and get into the you know our understanding of ancient languages is just broadening by every year, and so it allows those words to come a little more alive because we can start to see them more accurately to their original intention. And even anthropology and archaeology getting into the cultures at the time, and based on the culture, what did this mean, what did that mean? And in my opinion, if you're not that deep into it, then to you it's just something fun to carry on your back and be like, yes, I do this. And
right. And I always drill it down to name a relationship
mhm,
that ever got better when a third party intervened, and the answer is none point
that's
none.
interesting.
So if you want to have a relationship with God, there's no relationship that ever improved when somebody got in the middle of it. And so I'm
Which actually brings up an interesting point of something I've been learning about and kind of dealing with in my own relationship with God, as far as developing a really kind of resentful respect for God. Because the thing that I notice is when I think I need him most, he's nowhere to be found. And the moments he shows up are what I notice when I kind of look back at them are the moments when I was most receptive to what was about to come. So the weird trust game with the idea of God is kind of what these religious people say, but they say it very I don't know, they're kind of placating. Like I don't even think they understand the meaning of it to the point that they could even relate to you and extend you some compassion. But when they say like it happens in God's time, like it really does. But
right.
that's a trust game that's not fun to play. And I guess when you said like how does a third person help any relationship, I think what I heard inside of that is it intrigues me deeply how quiet God is. Like he really
Yeah.
as much as he could say, he doesn't. And I mean macro or micro. He doesn't interfere, he doesn't get involved.
Well, I have kind of a dog whistle approach to that question of God's silence. Because we only see like 8% of the spectrum of light frequency. But
Mm-hmm.
I know dog whistle works, and I know I can't hear it, so I know there's sounds I can't
Yep.
hear, and I know there's things I can't see, and I know there's sounds I can't hear. Um, and I wonder if God isn't booming. It's just that we're
Yeah.
looking to be spoken to the way you and I are speaking
Mm-hmm.
instead of being spoken to through, hey, here's a feather, or hey,
Mm-hmm.
here's whatever. And so I wonder if it's us. And then I also like wonder
Yeah.
if I have this thing like that God is all of us anyway, and
Yeah.
so so, but I was you'll love this. I was president of my last church, and it's the last church I
Oh
ever
wow.
belonged to, and it was a really small church in a really affluent area around where I live,
Mm-hmm.
and the town that the church is in has an annual jazz concert series, and you go to these mansions and they host a jazz concert, and literally like half a mile down the road. So there's 20 jazz concerts in 20 mansions that you can go to during the course of the year and hear world-class jazz players. So the pastor of this church said somebody donates 5,000, which to this church was like a lot of money. They donate $5,000 and I'm the president. And this lady comes to me and says, "Hey, for $5,000, we can get," and I forget the country, "we can get 3 kids into this school from this country. It'll buy their uniforms and books. And once they're in, they're in there. They can't be out. And it'll be life changing for them."
Mm-hmm.
It was a third world country. And this was like a boarding school, but they ran this program where if you could just get in, you can stay in. So it's a one-time payment. And I'm like, you could change 3 lives, right? So I go to the pastor and she's like, "I want to have a jazz concert." And I'm like, what the fuck? There's a jazz concert that, the Gatsby lives like, half a mile down the road. What are we doing? She overrode me and spent the $5,000 on a jazz concert. And I'm like, churches don't work,
Yeah.
right? Churches don't work, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's fun
Yeah.
when you were saying before about the dog whistle. I it's funny how much I agree with the concept that God is something to be tuned into, and that if you're tuned out, like it's not God's fault. But I guess where I get a little bitter is
Yep.
if the assumption is that just for funsies and not to get too into it, but we can if you want to. If the story of the Garden of Eden is literally to tell us that we were sent here to sin, we were sent here as a means of separation from God, that for some reason is supposed to give us a chance to develop a different relationship with God, that's cool. But the thing that I was sent here to do is the thing that's detuning my radio. So
So
the
what
the
the
the method of like work that you're putting me through to stay tuned into you to feel peace almost feels punitive, and some part of me is just like, I don't get why it has to be this hard to have a relationship with someone that's supposed to be benevolent. You know what I mean?
not only do I know what you mean, I scream what you mean from the mountain.
Yeah.
What? Because I struggle with the creator thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm created to have a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
You purposely made it hard.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
Yep.
Well, why do that?
Yep.
Right. And they're like, well, your love will be harder if your love will be better if it's tested. Your faith will be
Mm-hmm.
better if it's tested. Why make me have faith?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why create this whole scenario that I even need faith? Why
Mm-hmm.
not just make it so?
Mm-hmm.
And why not just sit here? Like what? And then, well, the nature of love is that it has to be tested about. Well, then don't make love that way. Like,
Yeah.
right?
I only really have one even weak theory that might uh, kind of go into what we're talking about, and it ties to the Mormon idea that like something Joseph Smith is credited as have said is as man is, God once was, as God is, man may become. There's the idea that like just like a seed becomes a tree, and then the tree drops seeds on the ground, and they become trees. Like we were created for I hate to say an end because I think all creation can kind of evolve as much as it wants to, but being is how if we are God's children, then it kind of goes without saying that we have the capacity to become as God is, thus become gods. When you think about the sense of like the universe, and if we have the ability to become gods, kind of what that insinuates is like the tree drops seeds and the seeds become more trees. The intent is that we do what he does and we can create children of our own and we can populate worlds of our own. All of that being said, if that's true, it means that eventually the work that we might be able to do is so far away from where God is still doing his work that one of the benefits of putting us down here to learn how to have a very sensory relationship with God is that when we are far, 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 far away, kind of doing our own thing, but still a child of a parent and still wanting to both share our pains and our joys and our successes, and also maybe get some feedback or get some advice, that to be trained in this world of faith to be able to connect with God in that way, in a very like, Star Wars, the Force kind of way, makes a little bit of sense to me, but it still feels like you are setting a huge percentage of lazy children up for failure because they're not
Yep.
going to want to work that hard. And so then it turns into a different argument of, did you do all of this just to get the 1% of your kids that are going to get it, that are going to work at it and become great, and the rest of them
Right.
can go fuck themselves? That's
Right.
so weird to me, and I can't make sense of that.
I have a theory about that. I think that what we did is we said God created the earth, right?
Mhm.
And like God said, "Hey, I'm going to make you an earth." And we heard, "I'm going to make you an earth. I can do anything. I can control everything." And blah blah. And I'm like, those are two separate things.
It's
I'm going to
interesting.
make you an earth
Yeah,
is very different than, oh, and by the way, I can do anything.
yeah,
I don't know why we assigned omnipotence to God.
that's interesting.
I don't know where that came from. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, because I can do things. I can't
yeah,
do everything. And
that's
and
funny.
and we just assign omnipotence and control and blah blah. And
Yeah,
maybe God fucks up just like we do. Maybe
yeah,
that's the nature of everything. Is
yes,
that we just arbitrarily said, yeah, God can do anything. Well,
yep,
maybe I can't.
yep,
And we have to figure out like where that and I I kind of understand where that came from because if I'm if I don't have an iPhone and I'm looking at the sun
yeah.
with my spear and I'm like, well, if you can do that, you can do anything, but that's not so much.
As much as I love that point, and I'm literally going to be thinking about what you just said for a long time, I immediately think that it's got to be so hard to try to study the Bible from that perspective, because the way God's voice comes through all these prophets and how he presents himself makes that theory so complicated to break down, because he's basically saying like, you can rely on me and I can do everything. But you make a strong point that maybe he's just a good earth builder, and why are we trying to like make him solve everything else when
Yeah,
really he just did what he's good at?
but I see. I've read the Bible. I am loath to recall a boatload of passages that say I can do anything. They
Hmm.
say I can do. There's passages where he says I can do this.
Hmm.
I can do, but you
Well, I
don't
mean,
hear.
when he talks about put your trust in me, I
Yeah, but
mean, again,
that's
going back
different
into
than I
like
can do
old
anything.
languages, well, and that's what becomes tricky about, based specifically on the theory that you presented, the personality of God. To say as a blanket statement, put your trust in me, there's an insinuation there that like anything you can consider that you could worry about, I am something that you can trust to help you with that. Is that the insinuation of the trust, or is what he's saying is trust in me not because I'm going to fix it, but because I'll be there to hold you while you're suffering through it, and once you've learned from it, then you and I can have a good talk about what you learned. And maybe that's all he really meant by trust, is like, just breathe and you'll
Maybe God
live.
is to you as you are to your toddler. When your child has a problem, you're going to say, "Trust me." That doesn't mean you can do anything.
Mm, yeah,
Anything. It just means I'm your best bet,
yeah,
and trust me, and we'll try to get through this thing together.
yeah.
But you don't hear God saying, you don't hear Jesus God, you don't hear God, any no time that I can think of. You hear people saying it about God. You never hear God or Jesus saying, "Oh, by the way, I can do anything."
I'm going to think long and hard. You make a really good point, and if I think of anything that I think's a decent argument, I'm going to
Then we
email
do
you
part two.
and just try to, yeah, see if we can get down to it. But yeah, that's a really good point. Hmm.
How long you been playing guitar?
Since I was 15, so what am I now? 44? Wow. Yeah, like 30 years.
Yeah, you're climbing up on 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a bunch of guitar player questions. You ready?
Okay, hit me.
Which is harder to play, acoustic or electric?
Acoustic, but in the sense that,
Now I know you are a real guitar player.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's two things that are happening there simultaneously when you say acoustic. One is there's a thing on a guitar, for those that are listening don't know anything about guitars. It's called action. Basically, what it means is the distance of the strings to the fretboard. Because of the way acoustics are designed, the action is higher, which means you have to push harder to get a resonant note. And what that means is, if you're like a guitar player that can noodle and what have you, the texture of that noodling is so obvious on an acoustic that if you're not good, you can tell in 5 seconds. Whereas an electric is just so forgiving, especially if you throw distortion on. Anybody could play that
Yeah.
guitar because it's designed to just kind of mask any of your flaws with tone and fun.
I look at an electric guitar as one big giant margin of error. Like
Yeah.
you can, yeah, right.
Yep.
Like and you
Yeah.
it almost like you said almost okay. Where do you stand on shredding then?
I specify
Now,
the question. That's a really good question, but I'm wondering where you're coming from
do,
asking it.
oh yeah, sorry. That's a are you? Excuse me.
Like, am I for shredding? Just kind of across the board, am I okay with it? Is what you're asking?
What do you think is harder to do, James Taylor or Van Halen?
I mean, you're asking a guy that is it's on his bucket list to learn eruption. Doesn't mean I don't think I can do it. It just means it's studious. You got to really like academically sit down and pick it
Right.
apart. I mean, maybe back to your previous question, I might say James Taylor only because something that's tricky about playing guitar is the more intimate what you're doing is, the harder it is to do. Whereas if you're just thrashing on a guitar, like there's a lot of little flaws that will be hid by feedback and by
And
ambience and all sorts of
speed.
things. Yeah, and
Yeah.
speed. So yeah,
And,
I would say acoustic.
and it's a whole separate. Tell me what you think about this. I think it's a whole separate gift to let the guitar do some work.
Hmm.
Like and with acoustic, right? But knowing when to let the guitar do the work, knowing when not to let the guitar do the work.
Dynamics, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, all that, which
Hmm.
you get kind of with a pedal on an electric guitar, I
Hmm.
guess. But when it's you and wood,
Yep.
um, I think that's a whole different complicated gift other
I
than
think
like
what's
you said.
ironic about that, and maybe there are a few big, rock stars that would not fall into this category, but most of the great songs that anybody has ever heard were written on a couch, watching TV, and playing an acoustic guitar. Like that's where it starts. So
Yeah.
there is this really beautiful intimacy, specifically with guitar players, from musician to instrument, with just an acoustic guitar, just strumming around and trying to find something that catches your attention.
How much time do you spend acoustic versus electric? How much time do you spend?
Well, we talked about my beautiful toddler daughter. Not much these days. I've much, much,
Oh,
much,
right.
much, much less than I want to. But
You're in
honestly,
that phase. Yep.
I mean, if I'm lucky, an hour to two a week, give or take,
Yeah.
which isn't
Yeah.
fun to deal with. But then it's the trade off because to your point, both of those instruments function so differently that when I step in a room and I know I have X amount of time on the clock, I got to make a game time decision. Like, what am I going to get the most fulfillment out of? Do I really want to sit here and shred and get out the chugs, or do I want to just let my wailing out, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
figure out.
And you write, obviously.
Yeah.
That's not a question.
Hmm.
When you write,
Hmm.
where does it come from? Do you channel it? Do you make it? Do you sit with the muse? Do you give birth to it? Is it given to you?
Great question. The simple answer is I don't think I've ever forced a song in my life. I think everything that happens that becomes a song starts usually as a riff. Like I'm just kind of noodling around on my guitar and there's just some kind of, maybe it's just chords, maybe just a series of chords that the emotion that they evoke stayed with me long enough that I can start, maybe not humming it in my head, but it just kind of sticks with me long enough that being inside of the emotion of that and then trying to see if there's any words that come to help tell that story. When the words start to come, that's when I'll start getting out like the voice memo and the iPhone notepad, and I'll start trying to like lay it down and in whatever format it's in, and then kind of just sit there on a couch and just play that over and over again. First of all, to see if it's good as is or if it needs to be tweaked a little bit. But second of all, that really fun moment for me that like once you've played out what you have and you keep playing the chord progression that you're playing, you're leaving that space open for your brain to continue to tell the story if it's there. But I guess maybe as a secondary answer to that question, as hokey as it might sound, it's the muse. Yeah, I'm waiting for the song to reveal itself to me if it wants to, and if it doesn't, then there's just I've I have good friends who are musicians, and I watch them force songs, and I try to encourage them in what they do because I don't think there's any point in crapping on that, but I just don't like them. They're not songs I would listen to. I'm like I could tell. Whereas there's other bands that like full albums. I'm like, considering all these songs were written in different places and different times, it's insane to me how it all comes together. And as an album, it is just so where you were in that time in your life, and it resonates with me for whatever dumb reason. And you know, like Nirvana's Nevermind. Like those songs weren't all written at the same time or even for the same reasons, but there's something about it. You just listen to that album front to back. It's bizarrely cohesive. And so I don't know if that's literally just because all those songs could go together that easily and that's just sort of the randomness of it, or if it's the life of a good song that you can put it up next to any other good song and the two will resonate and just kind of relate to each other in some way. I don't really know which one's true.
Yeah, I don't either. I do think I have this litmus test for songs. Like if I can predict the next line you're gonna sing, if I listen to your song the first
Yeah.
time and I can predict the next line you're gonna
Yep.
sing, you're forcing the song,
Yep.
right?
Which, to be, hateful for 2 seconds, is to me 70% of new music.
Oh,
Anytime I give
totally.
a song a chance, I'm like, yep, no, that's what you should say next. That's the perfect lyric to put there. And I'm immediately uninspired. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
your garbage song
exactly.
with me. Yeah, it sucks. It's really
It
sad
does.
that people don't seem to really have anything to say anymore. They're just trying to say a lot of things, but they don't have anything to genuinely say, which is why, I mean, maybe just to make the opposite argument, not just seem like I hate all new music. There are artists that I kind of stick by. Like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, I think is one of the most soulful songwriters of his generation, meaning that whatever comes out of him, at least for me, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but from the minute that I heard like Color in the Shape, which has like Everlong and My Hero and a lot of those older hits on it, like there's something about that album that just spoke to me at the time. And then
Right.
like Nothing Left to Lose comes out with Breakout and Learn to Fly and other things on it, and like the same thing happened. And as I kept buying like One by One and In Your Honor, and I just kept following him, like he would just tell a story that resonated with me so aggressively that it really influenced. I like to think that my songs kind of reflect what he did, even though I think he's better at diluting what he's saying a little bit so that it's easier to relate to. And I think I'm really specific in like my lyrics and stuff like that. So I think that might mess with the audience's
Do
connection
you
to it. But
do you think your training as a missionary impact your lyric writing?
um
Because you're given a like training as a missionary. I never was, but I would imagine it's like teaching sales. You're given a specific strategy, a specific
yeah,
way to communicate, and then
in the sense that like when I was a missionary, we're talking 2001 to 2003. Back then, the church was still on a very like rote system where all of they called them discussions back then, all of the presentations, there were 6 of them that you would give to somebody leading up to baptism, they were all pre-wrote out, and the expectation was that you as a missionary memorize them word for word. And then what
right,
your job sort of became was to not only try to deliver that with some sense of uh organicness, I guess you could say, but specifically, and I think this is the part when you ask that question that my brain goes to, and it's like, how did it influence my songwriting? To tap in to the Spirit of God if it can be invited into the room, and to let the Spirit of God take over and kind of tell the story that you've been programmed to tell. And so in that sense, in the vein, if we're using words like muse, and they can be um generalized to something like the Spirit of God, just depending on belief systems and stuff, then I would say the training I got out there that I think helps me as a musician is to pay attention to the ethereal vibe of the universe and just try to see if there's anything that it feels like saying that interests me. And that to me, if you're a songwriter and you want to be a good one, first of all, give up on the fact that you might be rich and famous, because you may not get that much material. But what I would say is, don't sit there and wait for the universe to give you a song and for the song to be good and then you walk away with your Grammy and have a great day. Listen to the universe and let it impress you. Know that you're
right.
a person with experiences, and that you have your own interests and desires, and wait for something to come that turns you on, because there's no way you're going to be able to touch somebody else with that piece of music unless it touched you first. So
You
just give
ever,
up.
yeah. You ever read The War of Art?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the idea. Sit
Yeah.
down with the muse and let the muse impress you.
Yep.
Yeah. have you ever written anything better than what you can write?
I will tell you that one of my favorite songs that I wrote actually is probably one of the most minimalist songs that I wrote. Even recording it, when I recorded it, it has an acoustic guitar, it has a bass, it has a pretty simple drum track, and I don't even think there's backup vocals. I think the whole thing is just one set of vocals. It's called Lucky Stars.
Can you play
And
it?
um that's a good question. As you said that, I'm like, can I remember the lyrics? Because it's I could try, but I think I'd mess it up. Your call. Do you want me to take a swing
Take
and
a
see if
swing.
I
Yeah,
mess it up?
yeah. Or just play a part of it so I can hear your favorite song you wrote is.
Okay. Maybe I'll just play like the first verse. I think I can
Yeah,
remember that pretty well, and we'll see.
perfect. Yeah.
Who needs sheep when we've got these lucky stars? Who needs sleep? Already forgot it. When I'm safe there in your arms. Time takes a stab. Circumstance shakes us awake. And terror reminds us of all the for granteds that we take. And then it kind of just goes on.
That's beautiful, bro.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's beautiful. What kind of guitar is that?
It's a guild. I literally just got it. I've been a fan ever since. Any fans of this? Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, I like Alice in Chains so much, and that performance is great. But there's like a tone of what Jerry's playing that always geeked me out, and it's a guild. And I thought for years, I'm like, I need to own a guild, and I finally do. You're the first person that's hearing me play in my guild.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
I have a Guild 12 string.
Nice.
Dude.
Yeah.
You play 12 strings?
When they're around, I haven't
Okay.
thought that it's useful to own one just because I don't think I'd play it that much. But yes, I love to play them when they're available.
I broke my set out now where songs I write that I strum are on 12 string and songs write that are arpeggio are 6 string. And it works out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it works out. Except, the joke about 12 strings, like how long does it take to perfectly tune a 12 string? We'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Pain in
looks
the
like a nightmare. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, dude, you'll laugh at this then. So I'm doing this thing. I do this thing called the Lifted Project,
Mhm.
and I bring the 12 string to it, and I'm like, I haven't changing strings on the 12 string is
Oh.
like it's a nightmare,
Mm-mm.
right?
Yeah.
But I gotta do it because I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
So I buy the strings. I'm like, okay, I sit down, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I take all the strings off the guitar and I open up the packet of strings and there's only 6 in it.
Oh wow.
But it had a 12 on it. But what the
Yeah.
12 on the package was
Was the
was the gauge
gauge?
of the
Yeah.
lightest. Yeah, yeah. But I wasn't thinking. I'm like, mother.
Yeah.
And it's Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I can't get strings. But
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the guitar overnight without strings on it because in the morning it'll be like one of those noodles, like that'll just,
Yeah.
it'll spin out of control. So I wound up taking 2 sets of 6 strings and just trying to doing that for one night.
Oh
And then
wow.
I ordered strings overnight to 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 change the strings and get that guitar in tune.
Yeah.
Overall, probably 4.5 hours.
You are not encouraging me to buy a 12 string. I don't want that at all. That's a
You
mess.
don't. Nobody wants that at
No.
all. Nobody wants that at all. Did you when you were in the church?
Hmm.
Like you listened to some pretty hardcore secular music. Was
Yeah.
there ever a conflict there? Like I'm a missionary, but I like Alice in Chains.
It's funny how that kind of turned into two questions, and they both have really interesting answers. As a missionary, I mean, the short version of the story is a lot of missionaries go out at 19 and come home at 21. I had led a life where there had been a lot of both things happened to me and then mistakes made as a result of that. And I was the kind of guy that just didn't tell anybody. It just, led this very fake life to try to um, fit in, which gets into the certainty worship and it being more of a community than maybe a place of worship for me. So basically my 18th birthday or when I turned 18 and it was time to like advance in the priesthood inside of the church, like I had to sit down with my bishop and I just let out, 10 years of stuff that had been happening to me. And that started a church discipline process, which sounds like a big aggressive word, but it's just a fancy way of saying the church takes responsibility for your relationship with God. And so in a situation like that, where clearly you guys are just in very different universes, the church helps you through a process of trying to like admit the sin and the error, to understand. And I'm going to say this and it's going to trigger some people, but I'm just trying to help them understand the church disciplinary mindset, the pain that you've caused God in the departure, to understand God's love and how much he wants you back, and then put that back together. That process for me took about 2 years. So when I went on my mission, I was older than most missionaries because I'd really worked hard to get out there. And because of that, stuff like the rules where they're like, you can't listen to anything but church music, for me wasn't hard because it meant different to me to be out there than I think it meant to the other young kids because I'd worked hard to be there. So following the rules of listening to the music, super easy. Relating to other people when it came to like, oh yeah, I like Blink-182 or I like whatever, and just relating to other kids or other people that I was meeting out there, also super easy because to me, I think I went out there with kind of a born again attitude where I was just like, no, you don't understand. Like I've been saved and I want to like introduce you to the benevolence of this creature that loves you also. And so for me, it didn't take long being out there and beating the pavement in that shirt and tie to understand that like the people we're talking to are human beings. And if we can't humanize this, then we're just car salesmen. And I don't know what we're doing out here. So it was very easy for me to see who I am as a person, see the value that brought to trying to explain the message of Jesus to people, and then just plug those things in. So no, for goofy reasons, I don't think that I don't think that God's ever been upset with me for listening to secular music, because what I've come to, especially in my older years, is I think God understands the pain that I've experienced, and I think he understands how that stuff balances and soothes me. So I don't think it's another way of saying, and again, for anybody that's really religious listening to this, you're welcome to tune out because I get how hard this concept sounds. God does not hate us, and his feelings are not hurt when we wander because he knows what we're going through having put us here. And like, he gets the need we have to take a breath and go eat some more fruit of that tree that he only told us not to, so that there was an opposition, something that we could pass through that would separate us from him, not because that's what he wanted for forever, but because the separation created a space where we could learn stuff, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. And to further trigger people, I the reason I think it's easy for God to forgive and understand is because I don't think God looks at sin as sin. I think God looks at sin as response.
Yep.
Like, oh, I get it. This happened, and you responded this way.
My way of saying the exact same thing is the reason God is not offended by your sins is because he never cared in the first place. He's not paying attention to you touching your penis. He's
right,
paying attention to the human being that is developing after anything you do, after touching
right,
your penis, after drinking a Coke, after, I don't know, murdering somebody. That sounds
yeah,
aggressive, and you think, oh, God's sending them all to hell. Not if he can help it. That's the
right,
point. He's paying
right,
attention to like what happens next. Where do you
right.
go from having crossed this aggressive spiritual and psychological and maybe in some ways even like physiological line? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Um, when you were playing music at the height of it, how much were you playing a day?
Wow. I would say it probably depended. Some days I could probably go a whole day and not even pick up my guitar, and other days 2 to 4 hours, give or take. To be honest with
Okay.
you, I think I'm fortunate to have become a pretty decent guitar player because of the work that I put in. I There's a reason I'm not a gearhead, and for anybody who doesn't know what that means, it basically means somebody that's super obsessed with like the mechanism of the guitar or what do different pedals do, or how do I make my sound perfect. There's a reason I'm not a gearhead, and I think it has to do with the fact that I'm more obsessed with the art than the instrument. So I enjoy that I'm good enough at the guitar that it allows me the freedom to express myself as full as I can, for me to be able to like write and connect with those feelings. And I don't know that I have any desire to go any further past that, because I'm way more interested in the art than the instrument.
Want to do another song?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Well, I guess it's
Oh,
kind of
wait, question before you get going.
yeah, no worries.
I've looked at your website.
Okay.
What do you like better, long hair or short hair?
Ugh. The best way I can think to answer that is within the Star Wars universe, something that I think a Jedi would admit a lot quicker than a Sith is that light can't exist without dark. Like there is a balance in the Force, and that's why anytime there's Jedi, there's Sith, because they can't exist without each other. Even without the long hair, I'm still that guy, and even with the short hair, even with the long hair, I'm still this guy with short hair.
Right.
Like all it really is an outward expression of a guy inside that kind of hasn't changed. So what I think I might avoid with long hair moving forward is I think it really does pull me into my darker side, like a lot more often. And so I tend to get a lot more depressed, and I tend to just get a lot more negative, I think, when I'm got long hair
so weird
versus
you
the
say
short
that.
hair. Like I look in the mirror and I'm just like, oh yeah, there's a clean cut guy. And again, a lot of this probably is tied to my religious upbringing, that when I look at myself with short hair, I think priesthood holder and missionary and all this stuff. And so
Right.
it gives me a little higher vibration, especially being a dad. I think I would benefit a lot more from living kind of, or externally drawing myself to the higher vibration. It doesn't mean I'm not still dark and I won't still have all those gifts to bring her, but it means for the most part, dad's going to be like fun and gregarious versus like, nah, man, let's watch this documentary, or I don't know, whatever nonsense I was.
I look at it as because I'm about to shave all this shit off, and
Nice.
and I'm like, who's got time? Like, if you have long hair, you got a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
So I get it. What's the song? Sorry.
No, you're great. So I guess kind of ironic, because like when we were first talking about doing this, and you were like, let's do a song, and the original for the reasons. First song that came to my head was a song off my first full length album. The band name is Evening the Score. It's all one word, and the album's called Farewell Aquarius, which is kind of a reference to the fact that I'm an Aquarius, and at the time it was just supposed to be a swan song. I'd been in all these other bands over all this time, and it was the first time I just kind of did something that I wrote and I did. But this song called Long Live the King came to my mind, and I thought, well, A, that would definitely work acoustic, but B, you have other songs, and some of them are even more popular, get more streams on Spotify or whatever, like why this one? And similar to what we've been talking about, I just didn't question it. I'm like, okay, that's the trigger, I'm going with it. And then as our conversations happened, it's kind of a funny song because it's not religious, but I think it does have a lot to do with my metamorphosis over the years, spiritually and otherwise. So it becomes ironic that this is the song that I thought to play. So it's called Long Live the King. I hope you
Cool.
dig it. I'm falling, I'm reaching, suspended in time. It's over, it's ending. No time for this pain. The king is dead. Long live the king. 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 I feel it. I mean it. This time it's for real. Space and time are bending. Doors open. The king is dead. Long live the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. The king is dead. Long live the... And you hear what I hear, the sound of release, drums pounding, choir singing, the feeling. The king is dead. Long live the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. Forgive me. Forgive me. Don't worry.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
Well
Dan.
done, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. How many songs do you think you've written?
I feel like I counted it up a while ago, trying to put together this. I always want to say DVD, but that's not how that works. This live concert that I shot of me doing like some of them, pretty close to 40, something like that.
That's
A few
fantastic, man.
albums worth, a few EPs here and there. Yeah.
You journal?
Say it again.
Do you journal?
Journal? No, no.
No?
I've even had therapists challenge me to do it, and I'm like, my problem is I hate my own voice. Like when I start writing, it always feels performative. I'm like, well, what's the point then? If I, like I'm there's the point is for me to like connect to myself, and I'm just trying to impress somebody. Like I can't. It's very hard for me to be vulnerable, specifically to journaling. So no, I don't.
You ever hear the morning pages?
Heard of it. That feels like a older
Yeah.
reference. What's that?
It's so because I used to I know exactly what you're talking about. So the morning pages is a book called The Artist's Way. It was written by this Lisa Cameron, and it's
Okay.
like permission. It basically a book on giving yourself permission to be creative, right?
Oh, interesting.
And she says one way to get over this whole writing thing
Mm-hmm.
is to every morning get up before you do anything, you sit down and you handwrite 3 pages. It can be anything. It's not a journal. You can
Yeah.
write Adam. You can write your
Yeah.
name, like, for 3 pages. It can be anything you want.
Yeah.
But what winds up happening is you do it enough times and you stop judging it and you stop
Yeah.
like putting criteria on it, and it's just you writing. And
Mm-hmm.
and like you do that for like 10 days, and all of a sudden your writing changes because you're like, oh, it's just me writing.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to be, I hate that word in that space, but that phrase, but it makes it easier to write.
I know this isn't the same thing because it's not recording it, and maybe it actually is the same thing because journals don't have to be like kept. It's just something you're doing for the exercise in some
Right.
cases. But I I, I love stand up comedy. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I
Mm,
think it's really developed my personality ever since I was like right after I got home from my mission. Like Dane Cook hit really hard, and that special like Vicious Circle grabbed me, and I just watched it all the time, and it just kind of got me into that space. And then I just started finding all these great comics, and really I would watch them so much and I enjoyed so much that it started to change the way my brain worked and the way that I looked at life and my own observations and things like that. And my point is, I went to this class to learn how to do stand up comedy. A buddy of mine like bought me this Groupon or something to do it, and this guy Tony Visich, I think was his name, was this. You never heard of him. Nobody has. I don't even think he has any specials, but he toured for like decades, and he just decided to like start teaching stand up here in Arizona. And one of the principles he taught that I think is maybe not change the way I do things, but it made me see what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is nice to have sort of a definition on that. Is he's like, draw a circle on the floor and stand in that circle and like have like a recording device of some sort, your phone or a cassette player, I don't care, and hit record. And you're allowed to say anything you want in this circle. Doesn't matter. Don't, it's a judgment free zone. Say, speak, be funny. At the end of like 10 minutes, hit stop, step outside of that circle. Now you're in critical brain. Now you can listen back to what you just did and you can knead the dough and you can figure it out. I think without having ever heard him say that, I think that's what I do. I think my mind just goes all day long and I'll just anything. My mind's just always going places. And I think I have sort of this resting ability to allow my mind to just go.
right.
But I can kind of like we were talking about before with like things that interest me. Like if something grabs my attention, depending on what it is and where I think it goes and maybe my expressive world, like I might stop and just make like a little notepad or just kind of jot that thought down and just put it over here and then just let myself kind of go again. So in that
Right.
sense, I guess maybe I journal just
Yeah, that
because
sounds like journaling.
I'm just a very free form thinker, but yeah, not like, trying to write anything down.
Best comedy special you've seen in the last 2 years.
2 years? Ooh,
Yeah.
that time frame makes it hard. Let me see. Man, there've been some really good ones for different reasons, I might add, because some of them I just think were brave as hell, and other ones like I just think are so damn funny. You know what? I'm gonna go. Man, it just came out too, so I hate all the other ones in the last 2 years that I'm forgetting that might challenge it. But Anthony Jeselnik just came out with ones called Bones and All.
Yeah.
It's just so. I mean,
I'm
if
down to
you're
just
familiar with him, like he's
very.
already, but he just. It's like you think he can't go any farther or harder, and he figures out how, and you're like, that's just it's
He,
genius.
I I love his comedy.
Yeah.
I love his comedy. Have you ever heard him interviewed?
Oh yeah, he's a sweet, lovely human being. Yes.
He said one thing. Theo
Yeah.
Vaughn was interviewing him,
Yeah.
and he said one thing. It so turned me off
Uh-huh.
that I'm like, oh God, I want to like you, and you're not making it easy. Theo Vaughn's like, well, you've been so successful for so long, and he's like, sure, and I'm like, that's you don't say sure to that.
And yet, what's funny is if you think about how he does what he does, you tell me how he does what he does without maintaining that attitude toward it. Because if you think about it, one of the things Anthony Jeselnik is best at is he won't laugh at his own jokes.
Oh, which makes him funnier.
Yes. It means
Yeah,
like when you catch him in a special, even smirking at his own joke, number one, you know he hates himself because he let himself
right,
enjoy his own joke. And number two, he finds a way to wipe it away, even if he has to point at a lady and be like, shut up, cunt. You know what I mean? Like he
right,
has to
yeah.
really reset himself and be like, the reason this comedy works is because I am deadpan. I can't let myself show.
Can you remember your favorite Jesselnick joke?
I mean, out of that special, I can't do it justice because his delivery is insane. But it's the one where he talked about how he heard about a pregnant lady that got hit by a bus, and he said, "I call that a gender reveal party," which,
Yeah,
and he literally had to leave it for a minute for the audience to understand it.
right.
Then start laughing. I think that was the joke where if you watch him on the special, he's kind of like pacing the stage a bit. And at one point he looks down at his watch, just like trying to really go
How
ahead,
long?
go ahead,
Yeah.
take your time. It's great. And that whole special is like that. Like he has this thing he does. And again, I think you're always waiting. Kind of like Brian Regan. Like I think he peaked, and that doesn't mean that I wouldn't watch a Brian Regan special or enjoy it. I just think he's kind of a one note pony. I think what he does, there's a way he gets to it, and there's the joke. I feel like Anthony's just like Anthony sees his responsibility as a comedian to be counterculture. So I think he really needs to like push
Right.
anybody that has the balls to show up to one of his show, which means he pushes himself, I think. And he's a
Right.
very normal person. So for him to like allow himself to go to these places and then be like, now I'm going to take that on stage and see if I can A, not only offend some people, but B, make the rest of them laugh and then ride the wave of the
Right.
people who hate me and are never going to let me back, but also there's a lot of people that don't hate me. And I think that's got to be a tricky, like being an artist myself, you just want to be liked. And I can't imagine what he does with that part of himself where he's got to accept that he's trying to be a little hated because it's kind of
Right.
flavor of what he does. And so he has to let that sit there and not solve it. Just let people be upset and offended.
Um, you made a documentary.
I did.
How hard is that?
So hard. Don't do it unless you are in love with the topic. It is every step. Every step of the way is so, I don't know. I'm talking about it so negatively. Like it was a really beautiful experience, but like had I not been so invested in the story I was trying to tell, ugh, I would have. I mean, you got to think. Not even just the trip. Like you watch the documentary, and you see me take the trip, and that was like a week and a half of my life. But the month, I don't even remember how long it took me to edit that thing. A month or two. And even then, it came out almost 4 hours, and it's way too long. And even I can look at it and be like, man, I should have trimmed it down harder. But like, it's so hard. Yeah, don't do it unless you're just in love with the subject.
Yeah. Yeah. And you made the documentary about yourself, and I'm like,
Hmm.
how do you edit?
Me.
Like how do you edit yourself? Like,
Yeah.
because
I
like
mean,
we
the
kind of
hardest.
think like everything we're saying is important,
Yeah.
and you're like, I got to leave this here because
Yep.
I'm at 4.5 already, and what the
Yeah.
fuck. But um, it's kind of like deciding which parts of yourself are less important.
Hmm. It's exactly what it's like. Yeah. And that's part of my
Yikes.
regrets in editing is trying to really find the important pieces rather than a part of a story or something I added that I just thought went really well. And so why not,
Right.
because so much of it didn't. Part of what's hard for me about like watching that documentary back, which I really haven't done since I released it, is I'm so much more comfortable at the end of that documentary, having really kind of like leaned back into the process than at the
Right.
beginning. So it's real awkward to watch myself trying to figure out how to humanly look at a camera and say things at the beginning for like the first hour of that. I feel like it's not even that I don't know what I'm doing because I have this framework in my head of where everything's supposed to go and like the shots and the stories and things that I need to tell, but it's more like there there isn't rehearsal. Like I just hit record on a camera and then I've in the moment taken all these thoughts that I know are relevant to this moment and trying to like make a narrative out of it. And then you get home and you're watching it and you're like, yeah, I give that a C. But then you're kind of like, it's important to the story, so it's got to be there. So, I mean, I don't know. It was negative for me to say don't do it and lift. Do anything that you want to do because even if it sucks, you learned from it, and the next time you do it, maybe you'll do it better.
Right.
But
Dude,
and
that that
it was
that no
emotionally draining. Like it
yeah.
really, it was just yes, the story is about me, but to be honest with you, the only reason I made it is specifically because much like the Mormon temple, Mormon missions aren't something that gets talked about thoroughly enough. Like if you're ever around a bunch of Mormons and many of them have served missions and you get them talking about their mission stories, all you're going to hear is the greatest hits about the
Right.
coolest shit that happened to them. And the point of me making the doc was like, there is so much more that happens in those 2 years that people who are going on missions, like me, when I went on a mission, I couldn't wait for all the cool shit to happen because that's all I grew up on is my dad's stories and my brother's stories. And then I get out there and am just face in the mud almost every day
Right.
experiencing this fucking thing. And so for me, because my mission ended bad the way that it did, which is talked about in the documentary, but I'd also had funny and fun stories. For me, it was just like, I don't know if I'm the guy that can tell this story because I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an aspiring filmmaker, but I'm literally just going to be doing my best. But I do think this story is worth telling in the sense that it can frame to people that are thinking about going on a mission. It can frame it in a sense where it's like, don't go out and expect to baptize 400 people and expect for everybody to high five you on the street. Like there's so
Right.
much more to it that should be considered before you invest a year and a half to 2 years of your life in something that if you're not ready, like it'll bowl you over. And
Yeah.
there's so many missionaries that go home for good and bad reasons because it's hard. So it was my intention was trying to make a weird public service announcement, just like, hey, it's beautiful and it'll change your life, but just don't take it lightly. Like it's serious and serious things happen out there. And I think you should be ready to know that they do and be ready to react in a way that you'll be proud of later because this thing's going to hang with you for your whole life. Like, don't,
Right.
if any of that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. Do you like with my show? I think about this all the time. I do like 4 shows a week. I do like 12 hours a week. That is a lot of John Burton that my daughter's gonna because it's digital.
Yeah.
My daughter's got access to.
Yeah. Sure.
Do you ever do you think about like how your documentary and your music is going to be received by your kids and your podcast, which you should start doing again, by the way?
Thank you for saying that. I won't. I have a different podcast now, and it is.
What's the one you have now?
It's called Heart Songs, the podcast.
Right.
Short version of the story. Back in '08, Weezer released an album called The Red Album. It's a cool album. It's got some great songs on it. One of the songs is called Heart Songs, and it's a song that Rivers basically wrote about his life. He like the first verse is about when he was growing up and the music that he would listen to and that existed in his house. And the second verse is about like when he found like, metal and he started learning how to play guitar and riff and stuff like that. And the third verse has to do when he found the album that changed his life, Nirvana's Nevermind, and it made him think, "Oh, I can do this." And he went out and started a band. And then it's either in the third verse. Yeah, I think it's actually the tail end of the third verse. He talks about how as he's explaining all this music that he grew up with, the chorus that separates the verses is, "These are my heart songs, they never feel wrong, and when I wake for goodness sakes, these are the songs I keep singing." And then at the end of the song, he's in the third verse, he's talking about being in Weezer and being a successful band, and he says, and then the shows would over and people would come up to me and say, "This is the song," meaning like stuff he wrote,
Right.
and these are my heart songs. And so it's a really nice arc of how he got to become what had inspired him as a child. And so when I first heard it, I was just like, every artist should have an opportunity to tell this story about themselves. And then that thought just got buried in the back of my brain for 10
Right.
years until I started kind of getting into podcasting myself. And then that seed just turned into like, is podcasting the forum to do that? Is this where people can like talk about their heart songs? And much like your question about should people make documentaries or is it worth it? It's very hard to develop a good show, and Heart Songs went through some real heartbreak for me because it was hard to find what it was supposed to be, and people weren't friends, especially weren't super supportive. A couple that I love forever were, but it was really hard to figure out what it was supposed to be. But then once it landed, and I figured out the format, and I had my brother, who's an author, do a test episode, and I sent that out to all the people who weren't very supportive. Like everyone jumped on board and like, this is genius. And now we're 40 episodes in. I've had, I don't know, people like Ian Dench from EMF. If you ever heard that song in the 90s, you're
Yep.
unbelievable. He was
Yeah.
on Heart Songs. Had Courtney Taylor from the Dandy Warhols on. I just had Walker Brandt. She's an actress. I mean, it's like if you know her, you know her. She's been in everything
Right.
from like Star Trek to like Dante's Peak to she's just a brilliant resume, and her episode is so vulnerable and lovely. It's just turned into something that I love. So
Is that how you make a living?
no, Not even close. I have a day job. The problem is I don't monetize it. And the reason that I don't monetize it is the way the format works is the person, it's not an interview like this. I never even like meet them or talk to them. I send them a questionnaire, which has 4 questions on it that are all based on Heart Songs, the song. First one, tell me about a song that influenced you when you were a child. 2, tell me about a song that exists in a genre when you figured out what genre you really like and would listen to the most. 3rd song, tell me about a song that hit you when you decided who you want to be as a person. And the 4th song, tell me about your heart song. Like, of all the things you do and of all the things you've contributed, which one's the one that you hope people really grab onto and really respond
Right.
to? And then it allows them to make an audio recording of them answering all those questions, and they send it to me. And then what I do is I listen to it and I trim it up so that I can put clips of the songs they're talking about in the podcast. So as they say, you know, such and such by Depeche Mode, then it fades out and the song fades in for like 15 seconds, fades back out, and they tell their story. Because I do that, it's copyrighted material, and I don't want to get in arguments with record labels, so I just don't monetize it. And I'm like, we'll just leave it out there and see. I don't know if it gets legs. And maybe to the same point I made about I don't know if I'm the guy to tell this story with the documentary. Part of what's hard about Heart Songs is like I'm nobody. Like I don't have any like reputation or clout to draw good guests to this show. So the truth is I'm kind of waiting for somebody better than me to come by and be like, hey, can I buy that off you, that intellectual property for whatever? And then like they can run with it and make it better, because I don't know that I'm the guy to do it, but I am the guy that started it, at least.
I'm gonna tell you about my boss,
Okay.
Mixcloud. You know Mixcloud?
Heard of.
So my Mixcloud owns my show,
Okay.
and you can play copyrighted material. They pay a license,
Oh, fun.
so you can play copyrighted material.
Nice.
Like a lot of the shows are DJs just playing copyrighted material.
Yeah.
Put your show on Mixcloud and you can do anything you want with it.
Out of curiosity, and not to get too in the weeds or pull the curtain back too far on your show for your guests, I know
No,
when we originally talked about me being on this, you were like, there's 2 paths we could go. If you play like a cover that's like somebody else's song, like you're only going to be distributed over here. Whereas if you play your own music, I can put you everywhere.
right.
I think based on what you're saying, that might be one of the things that would hold me back to put the show exclusive somewhere, because
Well, I'm not exclusive somewhere.
well,
My
if
my
unless I misunderstood you, like had I played like a Radiohead song or something right there, like it wouldn't be on Spotify, it wouldn't be on Apple Music, because
Correct.
you'd be in that.
But
I
if
might
but
just be like a purist, but there's something about me like I would like the podcast to be as easy to access as possible, and so I just kind of prefer it to be in all these different places. And so based on that, I'm not gonna
right, well then
monetize
you
it.
can, yeah.
Yeah, and you know that will enable me to let people find it. And like I said, it would almost be more fun for me for it to succeed in that way, where like somebody
Takes it over.
that can do things that I can't do takes it to places that I would have loved to. It Without making this too long, because I feel like we've already taken up a lot of your time and are probably getting toward the end here anyway. My original idea for Heart Songs is I kind of wanted it to be like a chain letter. Like I was going to start it and it was just going to be like a Zoom interview and I was going to talk to people about their heart songs. And then the idea was they look for a friend that they want to talk
That's
to
a
about their
great
heart songs.
idea.
And then basically how I was going to do it is I was going to host the Zoom channel. So all I had to do was send out the new hosts the login information. They do the episode. I do all the editing. I put it up. And then where
That's
it you can't
that's a
even
great idea.
you can't
Do
even
that.
assume where that would go. You say do that, you would be amazed at the pretentiousness of artists that are like, that sounds like a lot of work. No thanks. Because that's literally what happened when I pitched it to my friends. They're like, I don't have time. I got stuff going on. I'm like, wow. So it turned into what it turned into because it was something manageable. And again, even back to this, like this, it wasn't easy for us to schedule this. I had to drive
Right.
all the way across town. Like there's an investment to it that I'm willing to make because I enjoy being a podcaster and I honor the audience that shows up to these podcasts. Part of the reason why Heart Songs works, I think, is because I send them an email with a questionnaire, and it's up to them to make time to just sit down in front of a recorder and record their answers and send it back, and then they're done.
Right.
That people will do. Anything beyond that, you got to have, I guess, a reason. There's got to be like like a piece of cheese. There's got to be something there that
Right.
is motivating them. And unfortunately, I've only been a podcast for a year. I have a decent following, but it isn't great. So I can't even tell them, oh, you'll reach all these people, because they won't, because that's not what the show is. So the best I have to offer them is you can do this in your spare time. Please and
Right.
thank you. And then the truth is, as with anything in this weird capitalist society, I have sent that questionnaire to so many people that never got back to me and probably never
Wow.
will. And there's
Give me
just
the four.
that
Give me the four questions again.
I should read them to you. Where's my phone? Because even that took a while, like to
Oh, sure. Yeah.
make the
That's
song
probably the hardest part.
make sense. Yeah, then in a
Yeah.
way where I could like it literally just tell somebody how it works in um, an email. So, question number 1. First song. Tell me about a song you grew up with, something from your childhood that means something to you and has stuck with you to this day.
Fire and Rain.
Well, see, now I want to have you on Heart Songs, and if you're going to do it here,
we,
it's a little harder to
we can
put
do
you
it
on Heart
again.
Songs.
We
Yeah,
can do it
we
again.
should. We should.
Fire and Rain.
And
If you want,
in a separate context, I would love the story that you tell me about that. Second song. Tell me about a song you discovered when you figured out what genre of music you like and would end up listening to. And this was part of the development of this question. In parentheses, it says, I understand that this one is hard if you listen to all different kinds of music. But maybe you can choose a time in your life when you were particularly obsessed or driven by a certain type of music. End parenthesis. Third,
it just happened to me in the last 5 years. John Butler's Ocean.
I mean, the fun part about me being a host and or facilitator of this show is I don't know that song off the top of my head, so it gives me the privilege to go
I'm
find it and experience it myself
I
and be
am
like,
begging you,
oh,
when we get done,
okay,
look up the YouTube of John Butler's Ocean
okay,
studio, like 2016. He plays
okay,
an 11-string guitar. He's very dirty. He doesn't shower. He plays an 11-string guitar. It is the most masterful
nice,
guitar playing I've ever heard anywhere, anytime,
okay,
and it'll change your life, man.
okay,
You won't be able to put a guitar down after that.
good. John Butler's
Yeah.
Ocean, I'm in. And then let's see, we're on the third one. Third song. Tell me about a song that you have attached to a or the moment or time in your life. I worded these goofy because I was just trying to be really specific. When you figured out or decided who you wanted to be. So
Oh
that
God.
one
Okay,
that
this is
one
gonna
gets
make me sound like a total asshole.
good.
I, so I do this thing called the Lifted Project, and the Lifted Project is I take 40 people like you, soloists who
Yeah.
aren't choir singers, and I say, we're going to go to an airport. We're going to sell out the airport. We're going to go to the airport. You're going to be a choir. You don't get to rehearse the song. You get to hear it. You can rehearse it at home, but you
Yeah.
don't get to hear the song. You don't get to hear the song, and we don't get to rehearse it as a choir. Sorry, you
Wow.
hear my demo of it, but you
Yeah.
don't get to hear. You don't. We don't rehearse.
Sure.
The band gets 1 hour of rehearsal. Then we fill, and we did it last year. We fill an airport, and we just did it last week again. But we fill an airport, and you got to sing as a choir in front of them. And we have 4
Wow.
nonprofit partners. We don't take any money, but the nonprofit partners can. So I write
Nice.
this first song, and I'm like, I play it for my wife, and she's like, "That's really bad," and I'm like, "Fuck." So then I got like a week and a half, and what we were talking about before, right?
Yeah.
Like the muse, like what.
Yeah.
So in like 2 days, the song comes to me,
Oh, nice.
and it's called "Won't Be Broken," we do this lifted project last year,
Yeah.
and by the end, I have an airport of weeping, dancing, laughing, hanging on each other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, this is what I was supposed to do. I
Yeah.
was supposed to do this when I was 20 and I didn't,
Yeah.
but this is what I was supposed to do. So that would it sounds arrogant to have that song be one you wrote, but that would be my answer.
No, I don't think it sounds arrogant at all. And the hard part specific to Heart Songs, the podcast, is once I was listening through and editing your episode, you'd be getting an email from me and be like, you didn't by chance record that performance, did you? Because
Oh,
I would love
totally.
to like play it on the show is basically how that works. So
Right. Oh, totally. It's on YouTube right now.
good. And then the last one says, finally, and I sent this out to maybe the first 10 before I realized I need to change the way this is worded because I don't think they understand what I'm saying. So I said, finally, keeping in mind the experience in the Weezer song of the singer getting to see his music have the same impact on his fans that his favorite music had on him, think about your creative life and career. Now, tell me about what you hope your heart song or most meaningful achievement or contribution is or will be to the people in your life and why.
I fucked that up for the longest time because I was
Mm-hmm.
I was a musician when I was like 18, and then I
Mm-hmm.
went to college, and then I went corporate for like 25 years,
Oh, wow.
and like 28 years, and so I have like 28 years of regret. So I do because
Yeah.
I never caught flow. I was successful, but I never caught flow,
Oh, wow.
and I finally I got like very sick mentally, very sick, like
Yikes.
chasing aliens with a BB gun in my underwear sick. That's funny, but it's not a joke.
No,
And
I take you seriously, and it's a funny way to say it, not
oh,
what you're going
no,
through
yeah,
was
it's funny because it's like
awful.
most things. It's
Yeah.
funny because it's true.
Sure.
And so when I got out of that, I'm like, okay, I have to do what I love, and so I started playing music again. And then I realized, um, I realized that whole like my show and which is mostly musicians and the Lifted project, I would have to say won't be broken again because I think yeah, I think that song was like, hey man, you can it's a different experience when you write a song. And by the way,
Yeah.
when you accept the invitation to join the Lifted project,
Yeah.
you don't hear the song until after you accept.
Yeah.
So you got to
Exactly.
take the risk first.
Right. Yeah.
So to write a song that people are willing to risk themselves on,
Yeah.
and to hear that back to you in that energy, a game changer. So I would have to say that.
And I think even what you just went through there is a good example of why I think the show's fun because since they're making the recording themselves, and if they need to, they can go back and fix stuff. Like you would have realized that probably in the middle of your recording and been like, oh, you know what? I think that's actually my heart song. And chances are you're probably going to go back to 3 and be like, you know what? Maybe there is something different there. And that's not to say there haven't been times where the same song is somebody's third and fourth or second and third or whatever. It does
Right.
happen, but for the most part, it frees you up. And my favorite part, every single guest, well, guests that have at least responded to me and we have some kind of a dialogue, they're always just like, if you ever decide to have return guests, call me because I would love to do the episode again and talk about different songs from every period because
I I
it's
would love to do it
to,
again.
to whittle your experience down to one song per thing. In fact, listen to the show. Most people cheat and they go like 3 or 4 different songs, and that's a
I'm
little harder
sure
on
they
the
cheat.
editing side, but it
Yeah.
becomes fun to just watch them try to cram their whole emotional experience into like a handful of songs,
That's
and
such a fantastic
it's
idea. And
vulnerable. Yeah, when people really get into it, it's very. I cry editing probably half the episodes together just because
sure.
it's so tender watching people really expose themselves.
See, that's a burden I don't give myself. I don't edit anything.
Mm,
I had like this show. You will love this story as a podcaster. So I start the thing and I'm like editing a little bit here or there, but the whole idea is I'm not really going to edit it.
yeah.
I have this, and you will appreciate this as a filmmaker. I have a filmmaker on,
Hmm.
and he does a film about suicide, and it's based on
Wow.
his own experiences
Hmm.
with attempting suicide and blah blah blah.
Sure.
And so he makes this film about this, and he's doing a press tour.
Hmm.
So, and I'm like, hey, dude, I have a suicide experience too. Why, And he's like, and he actually asked me, he's like, can we? So he comes on,
Yeah.
we do the interview. We talk about the movie, which is about suicide. We talk about his life, where he had a suicidal experience.
Hmm.
I'm in my car on the way home from the studio, and the phone rings, and it's him. And I thought, like, hey, great, great show, whatever the bullshit is. He's like,
Yeah.
sorry, I had a great time. And he's like, I didn't expect it to go that deep, and I think you need to edit out every reference to suicide. And I'm like, motherfucker, dude, your movie is
Yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
It says it's about your experience about
Yeah.
suicide. And then that's the day I decided I'm just not going to edit anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brutal, brutal,
That,
right?
yes. No. It's. I mean, totally not the same thing, but one of the reasons I actually shut down the previous one, a guy on a podcast that you were very sweet to say I should start up again, is because
You should.
during COVID, like it just got really hard because I was trying to like Zoom talk with some of my friends and just keep it interesting, but everybody just wasn't into it. So it just came back to me in my car and me like talking to myself. And I was tired of the sound of my own voice. Like I figured if I'm tired of it, like I said, if it's not entertaining me, other people must feel the same way. And I had this one interview, and I'll call him out because he'll never hear this. And who cares? The comedy teacher, Tony Visich. I reached out to him and I'm like, hey man, I've got like an anniversary episode. I think it was like 150 or something coming up, and I'd love to have you on. He's like, great, let's do it. I'm like, cool. And the time came and went, and he didn't respond to any of my messages, being like, where are you? He never showed up. He just ghosted me. And that was the day. I'm like, it was enough of a letdown on top of the fact that I was already kind of over it that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put this thing on the shelf. I had a good time with it and I'm done. So in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah, it's really, really fucking disheartening. Artist to artist, like you're not even talking about like an audience member told you I don't like this episode. You're talking about the dude that took time out of his life to bring his wares on your show and then be like, I don't like how that went. Nope, that's not how this works, dude. Like you really got to show up, and if there's something you don't want to say, don't say it. Find a different way to say it. That's on you. Don't make the
Right.
podcaster suffer because you're an idiot and told a story you shouldn't have. Like, come on, dude.
When I'm so totally, there's this musician thing, especially with musicians.
Yeah.
There's this musicians thing where you show, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you say you're going to do it, you show.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different than having a meeting with
Mm-hmm.
an account executive where it gets rescheduled 45 times. Very different. Like
Mm-hmm.
if something gets fucked up, like we did, then you reschedule, but then you show. You
Mm-hmm.
don't, right? You don't. I had, and I'm gonna eat when we get done. I'm gonna email you the names.
Okay.
I had a guitarist who I guarantee you will know that you will know his stuff. He's a percussion guitarist. He's world famous.
Oh wow.
He's played Carnegie Hall, Radio City Music Hall,
Yeah.
he Madison Square Garden. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
He said, and I also had until last week an
Uh-huh.
internet stalker. Now my it's so true.
Jesus.
Now my internet stalker
Yeah.
was out of her mind, and she would check. And so this, I would never announce guests
Yeah.
beforehand because I knew that she would send them an email saying that I eat babies and I rape animals and I blah blah blah. Right?
As you do. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah, exactly. Right, right. I didn't sue her for libel because it's true, but I
Yeah.
did think it was annoying that she would tell people. So 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 I have this guy, and he's he's confirmed to be on. I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
great. She sends him an email, and he morning of the show, he sends me an email. He goes, I met with management. They won't let me come on the show. I'm like, that's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Then I had that same week, I have a conductor who you might not know unless you love classical music, but if you
Mm-hmm.
love classical music, you would know this guy.
Oh wow.
He's the, he's the Eric Clapton of classical music conductors.
Nice.
Same fucking thing. But
Yeah.
her emails were so ludicrous. Like literally, like, he eats babies that like you this is just a crazy internet person.
Yeah.
Both of them canceled on me the same week, and I was so close to doing what you did. I was so close to saying,
Yeah.
that, because that's so disappointing.
Yeah. It is. And it's even more disappointing. I mean, not to, prolong the conversation, but chances are she's the kind of human that does nothing. She just sits around and like trolls people or stalks people, and like
Well,
for a
I'll tell you,
contributor to be taken down by someone who's just that's their entertainment to take people down.
I,
Like
I
it's additionally depressing.
I will tell you, she was arrested last week.
Nice.
Finally,
Good.
and your description is completely accurate.
Yeah.
Or not arrested. She was questioned by police and was told, hey, if this happened again, because she was so,
Yeah.
because,
That's a shame.
yeah, yeah. But she was told like, hey, you got to stop.
Yeah.
And so now I can announce your show before I put it on. Because, and by the way, if you get an email, you won't. But
I'll be like, hey,
uh,
I know you.
yeah, well, I started like so the way I started handling it, which one of three things I've ever done right in my life
Mhm.
is like you get an internet stalker, you want to keep that quiet because you want to
Sure.
get guests, right? Well,
Yeah.
I did the opposite. I got out in front of it and I said, hey, if you have fear of missing out, if you have FOMO about not getting contacted by my stalker,
Yeah.
email me, let me know your contact information. I'll put you two together. You can go at it before the show, and in that way,
Hilarious.
yeah. Um, does your wife play music?
No, it's really funny how um opposite of she's a right-brained, she's a lawyer, very high-powered job, very opulent person, but yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been attracted to alphas, and so I don't know. I think I just it's it's hard to explain. And I feel like if she's watching this, she's like, "Say something nice, you asshole." I'm like, "No, it's not that. There's nothing nice to say. It's more like I would rather sit here and think for a second and try to communicate the real intimacy
Right.
that I feel for this human being than to just say something like PR supported." Um, when we met, she was just a bad bitch. And I just thought to myself, I like this bad bitch. And we had a good time
Nice.
like hanging out. And she's just so not like me. Like, to my knowledge, she hasn't even heard my music or watched my documentaries. Like, she doesn't care about anything I do
What?
artistically. And on the one hand, a little annoying because I like attention and acceptance. And on the other hand, it's really freeing to just kind of have my own thing that I do that she doesn't give a shit about. But on top of the fact that I just like her as a person and that I have fallen in love with her, like watching her become a mom, because like our
Yeah.
oldest daughter is both of our first, and she's about my age too. Like she was 39 when she got pregnant. Like it's just changed the tenderness of how I see her as a person because she went from being just a bad bitch to just being a warm, soft cookie. And that doesn't mean she
You,
can't still be a bad bitch and can't still do her job and go out there and kick the shit out of corporate America. But like, just she's a lovely human and a great mom. And so yeah, I no,
you,
she's nothing like me and doesn't.
do you
Frankly,
think
she
you
doesn't even have like she can't like. I'm not asking you not to sing, Gina. Please keep singing. But like she doesn't. She's tone deaf. Like she doesn't even.
right.
No, there's like it
Do
doesn't
you think she
register at
feels the
all.
same about you? Do you think it turns her on when she sees you as a father?
Yes, but because we've talked about that a lot, and she's like, yeah, you're yeah. I have yes. I don't know. I have a lot of because again she's a Leo and it's so weird how again part of the reason I buy into this stuff is she came out this way like I maybe had an influence on the fact that she has a sense of humor because she's real sharp and she's a ham but like her energy is bananas and so it's just kind of fun to she's always pulling me off the couch and being like daddy chase me and I'm old and out of shape and tired but I always do it because I'm like she won't be
How
young for
old were you
long.
when you had her?
Gina was 39. I was 41.
40, 43 when I
41.
had me.
41. Yeah, I
No,
was.
me. I
Oh,
was
you were
43
43 the first time?
the only time.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
had to,
that's.
I had to wait until I was not an asshole.
I'm scared that I still am, and I gotta figure that out by making mistakes and breaking
It'll
hearts.
knock it out of you. Whatever
I hope.
whatever small part is left, it will knock it out of you because
Yeah,
you take it serious. But
I hope so.
I think you kind of did it the right way, man. I think
I hate
it's
to agree with
better
you, but yeah, I think so too.
it's better if your wife either loves your music or doesn't
Oh, I
even
see
know
what you
about
mean.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. My
yeah,
wife knows about my music and has literally
and
on
it's
multiple
critical.
occasions vacuumed underneath me while I'm playing.
Yeah.
Vacuumed underneath me while I'm playing. It would be better if she didn't know
Hmm.
than if she
Yeah,
did that. So yeah, man.
that's funny.
Yeah. Do you want to play us out of here? Do you want to play a song to get us out of here? You don't have to, but I love you. I love your playing.
I appreciate that. You're just challenging me to.
Wait, before you go.
Yeah.
Um, the website is
Oh, Blayrock.com. Blayrock. It's a play on my last name, Blaylock, and has to do with the
which
fact
is
that I rock.
which is really smart, but a real challenge if you're a host of a podcast. And I'm
Yes.
like,
It's
I'm
the
gonna
worst.
call him Adam Blayrock. I
Yep.
swear I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna mess it up.
Yeah,
It's in
that's
my notes. I'm gonna fuck that up.
uh-huh. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
No. Yeah, it's
Because you've been there, I can see that, man.
yeah,
And
just
thank you for doing this, by the way, man. You're fantastic.
I'm glad this worked out. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
me
having
too,
me.
man.
That's very kind. You know what? I'm going to
Look at
because
the
I'm
alternate
sure
tuning.
I don't know what am I doing? I got a tuner right up here up top. Why don't I just use the damn tuner? In the event that there was a handful of people when I played the first verse of Lucky Stars that are like, I want to hear the rest. Why don't I just finish Lucky Stars and we'll call that a day? Sound like
Please.
fun? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very, very much for doing this, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Ah. And then I'll eat, or you have my email, right? You can
I
just
do.
email me a link to this and I'll just
I'm
pull
going
it
to.
down.
Yeah, we'll put it in a Google Drive or something, get it over to
You're
you so
very,
you can
and
pull it
thank
up.
you for solving our technical problems today too.
I'll
Much
thank Jeff.
appreciated.
Yeah, he's the man. He did it.
Yeah, you're very cool, by the way. I'm glad I
Thank you.
got to meet you.
Back at you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Who needs sheep when we've got these lucky stars? Who needs sleep when I'm safe there in your arms? Time takes a stab, circumstance shakes us awake. And terror reminds us of all the for granteds that we take. Who needs dreams when your heart's up on the shelf? It's your deal, you ante up, but you can't escape your tell. Sins are disguised way of showing us that we're still alive. But we want it our way, and so we kick and scream to survive. Who needs friends when you can't forgive yourself? What will you say, will you do when you're left with no one else? Sun's getting low, the fighting and the scheming are through. And all that's left is everything that just makes you you. Perfect you. Who needs sheep when we've got these lucky stars?
Beautiful, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go grab Jeff and we can get this all turned off.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you,
Thank
buddy.
you so much for doing this.
You got it, brother.
All right, man. Talk to you later.